Welcome to Cult Film School. Classes in session. We're your hosts, Adrian, that's me, and Dion,
That's me.
that's you. See, I'm getting in the mood.
No, you told me to get into the mood, and I'm just thinking about Pia Zadora and Gina Davis. This is all great. Let's do this.
In this episode titled Musical Aliens, we are having some out of this world fun. That may sound super corny and cheesy, and it is. Today, we are talking about two cheesy movies, two 80s cheesy movies, the best kind of cheese, aside from bocconcini. Two movies that bring the science fiction and musical genres together, finally. For those who saw War of the Worlds and thought, what if the aliens were less green and tentacle-y and were more a sexy rock band? Or if you saw The Day the Earth Stood Still and thought, what if instead of Michael Rainey landing his flying saucer in Washington, D.C., he instead landed in a manicurist swimming pool in the valley and just wanted to get laid? Our two movies today are the answers to those burning desires. Voyage of the Rock Aliens from 1984 and Earth Girls Are Easy from 1988. Now, some of you may be saying, wait, weren't some of the characters from Rocky Horror aliens? And what about Audrey 2 and Little Shop of Horrors? Aren't they musicals about aliens that predate both Voyage of the Rock Aliens and Earth Girls Are Easy? Yeah, but at Cult Film School, we abide by the philosophy, so what?
That is kind of a mantra that I live by.
Before we decide to put on space boots or dance shoes, I don't know what that means, just follow us. From the ship deck to the platform, we're on the social media platforms. Just go with it. All at Cult Film School. Also, check out our written reviews of the movies we cover on the pod on Letterboxd. Dion,
Yes.
what is Letterboxd?
I'm thinking of a not smart-ass way to answer this. Letterbox is basically like a movie journaling site, which also crosses as a movie journal, movie diary. You can read other people's reviews, follow them, comment on their reviews. There's like an increasing number of high-profile filmmakers that are kind of joining Letterbox, so that's kind of neat. If you ever wanted to know what Sean Baker or Mike Flanagan are watching, I discover new films every time I log into Letterbox. I like it personally.
Okay, now give us the non smartass explanation.
Um,
That was a joke. Also, consider rating us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and write your review of the show on Apple Podcasts. Then, after you've considered it, do it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And as always, you can reach us by email, cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com.
Did you pronounce Michael Rennie Rainey?
How's it supposed to be pronounced?
Rennie, Michael Rennie.
I probably did it the other way.
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Who's gonna know? I don't know if he has family.
Did you have any ideas for what you want to talk about? I just wrote the 80s was fun.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so okay. Um, so Adrian,
Oh, that feels weird.
I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. Um, so Adrian,
Yes, Dion.
do you remember when we talked about 1950s golden age science fiction in an earlier episode, like what feels like forever ago?
If it was forever ago, yeah.
Yeah, no, we talked about Plan 9 from Outer Space. We talked about Robot Monster, Elmer Bernstein, Robot Monster. Anyway, what's interesting about our discussion today is that in some ways we're kind of going back to and kind of revisiting some of these genres and some of these approaches that we've talked about in different ways in episodes past. These two films we're going to talk about today from the 80s take as kind of the genre inspiration 1950s science fiction. If you, dear listener, need a kind of like a primer on science fiction from the 50s, from season 1, episode Golden Age Science Fiction, I think it was a good one.
Semester one.
Semester 1.
That's our gimmick.
That's the gimmick, yeah. All of that, kind of like Cold War paranoia stuff isn't kept, but the iconography is. Like the spaceships and the aliens and the invasions and all that stuff. We also had an episode in season 2. What was season two's one?
Semester two.
We had an episode in semester 2 where we talked about the birth of the Razzies. We looked at Xanadu and we looked at, what was the other one?
Can't stop the music.
Can't Stop the Music. Anyway, Xanadu, the reason that Xanadu. So Xanadu gives us, this mashup of old and new. Gives us this mashup of like 1940s styles with the burgeoning styles of the 1980s. You kind of also get this in an episode that we've recently released. So, semester 3, got it right. When we looked at the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because what the Rocky Horror Picture Show is doing is equally kind of going back to, I mean, not just 50s science fiction, maybe 30s and 40s universal horror, and kind of bringing that into the present and doing it in a musical lens. In the 80s, we're seeing new films go back to these older genres and older periods to kind of spoof them, to mock them, but to bring them into what could be called the present, whatever that present is, whether it's mid 80s new wave synth pop or whether that's late 80s, whatever in the hell is going on in Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah. It's like a nostalgia of that 50s paranoia stuff.
Entirely.
We're not taking the alien invasion so seriously anymore, and we're poking fun at it now.
Well, we can laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So in some ways, it's, as you said, nostalgia. It's a return to genre, but it's also kind of an inversion of genre. These are not like suspense driven, oh my God, it's an invasion. These are spoofs. These are played for total comedy. Even the kind of comedy it is like completely silly, and the inversion is almost the source or site of that comedy. And then they're also musicals.
Yeah. It's all that, but in sing song. I'm still thinking about Can't Stop the Music.
It's hard not to.
Okay. So, with all that, let's get this Big Bang started.
Do you have a lot more of those?
Um, I have a red dwarf joke, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, and Earth Girls Are Easy. This is Musical Aliens.
Here at Cult Film School, we really only have one rule, and that is to do your homework before coming to class. Please watch these films in advance. Otherwise, beware of spoilers.
Are you trying to sing or trying to do like a sci-fi warning? Look up in the sky.
I think it was me trying to sing. There's a different voice if things are in the sky, though. But that's whatever.
Okay, let's dance tonight. Voyage of the Rock Aliens. So, Dion, if you go on IMDb, Internet Movie Database,
Is that what it stands for?
aliens land in the town of Spielberg, spelled Speelburgh, searching for the source of rock and roll. They find trouble with Dee Dee, Frankie, and the pack.
There's no trouble with Dee Dee. There's trouble with Frankie and trouble with the pack. Otherwise, that's fine.
We'll get into the trouble with Frankie and the pack. So I have questions about that.
As a summary, does not prepare one for the chaos and joy and confusion of Voyage of the Rock Aliens, but adequate.
So there's three different titles for this movie. Voyage of the Rock Aliens. There's the Voyage of the Rock Aliens : Let's Dance Tonight. And then there's When the Rain Begins to Fall, which we'll get into. Anyways, I thought that was interesting.
Well, it's because of how they marketed the film, right?
Yeah, but when this movie was released, it was called Voyage of the Rock Aliens, and that's how people understand the movie as it is now released today. But this movie started off with the title Attack of the Aliens, and it was written by a guy named James Guardiotti, Irish guy. This is his one and only script and his one and only contribution to cinema.
Well, if this is what you're known for, it's not terrible.
He wrote this script basically as a spoof of B movies. So the idea came to him sitting at night watching TV, and when you used to like flip channels, so like on channel 5 there'd be like an old beach party movie, on channel 9 there'd be a alien invaders movie, channel 11 it's homicidal maniac on the loose, and in channel 13 it's some sort of rock and roll program. So he writes this spoof, and the script gets interest from executives at a production company called Interplanetary Curb. Of course it does. It is here where it gets reworked as a musical, and it goes into production as Attack of the Rock and Roll Aliens. Then they cast Pia Sedora to star. Prior to this, she was known for the movie Butterfly, financed by her much older husband, who also essentially bought her the Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. Did you know that story?
I did. I have not seen Butterfly. I'm very curious to see Butterfly now. Apparently, it's awful. vanity project. Her husband financed it, and then yeah,
Yeah. Bought her a Golden Globe, which she wins before it comes out, and then her performance is panned by critics.
yeah.
She followed this up with another starring role in The Lonely Lady, ironically about a woman who allows herself to be exploited to achieve success in Hollywood.
Hmm.
Seen that movie?
I have not.
It's hilarious. I love it. It's got a famous line. I don't suppose I'm the only one who's had to fuck her way up to the top. You don't know that?
No.
Oh my god. Okay, we gotta watch that. Okay, she's a Razzie Hall of Famer, Pia Zadora.
No, no, like, what I was gonna say is, like, I wanna see Butterfly first, but I seriously think if it's as interesting as I'm led to believe, I wanna put it on a short list for us to talk about it sometime in the future.
Oh yeah, she wins back to back worst actress for both Butterfly and The Lonely Lady at the Razzies.
That's great.
Anyways, so that's who they get to star in this movie. And all that said, I really like her in this movie. So they get Zadora to star in it, and then they start fleshing out the rest of the cast. They cast our discount James Spader from our John Hughes Teen Love Stories episode, Craig Schaefer, as the bad boy boyfriend Frankie. They cast Tom Newlin.
Noland?
Nolan?
Nolan.
Tom Nolan.
Tom Nolan.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, he was, I think, Brad's dickhead manager in Fast Times at Ridgemont High
Which we talked about before.
in Sex Comedy Revolution episode.
That's correct.
So they cast him to be the leader of the rock aliens, Absid. And although these characters sing, the producers wanted to cast people who can act, basically. So all the singing those two people do in the movie is dubbed.
Yes.
Ruth Gordon is in this from Harold and Maude. Oscar-winning Ruth Gordon. She's the sheriff.
Oh, she is.
And Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes
Oh, he's here as well.
plays Chainsaw, the escapee from the hospital for the criminally insane who goes around with a chainsaw.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it stars as the Rock Aliens, the new wave band Rama,
Yes.
a discount Devo.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
There's also another rock band in this movie, Jimmy and the Mustangs. They play The Pack. What are they? Like they're like a rockabilly group.
Rockabilly, yeah.
Yeah, so that's who rounds out the cast in this movie, and then they get James Fargo to direct, who directed The Enforcer, the Dirty Harry movie, and Every Which Way But Loose, the Clint Eastwood and Monkey movie.
That's a pedigree.
Was that a pun?
I mean,
Isn't pedigree like a pet food?
take it or leave it.
Okay. So that's how this movie kind of comes out the way it does. Should we get into the music video?
Yeah, you kind of like in my opinion, you definitely need to address the music video because it really feels like the music in this film is a series of music videos for the most part. So the fact that the film basically begins with a music video out of nowhere which has no relation to anything that occurs after it. Yeah, I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, okay. And that gives us a good starting point. The beginning. so so originally this music video wasn't even meant to, like, the song appears at the end of the movie, but early screenings of this were poor, so they thought let's just throw the music video in the movie. And they threw it in right at the top of the song When the Rain Begins to Fall, which was a pop duet with Pia Zadora, star of the movie, and Jermaine Jackson of the Jackson 5, and it's some sort of Italian Mad Max ripoff scenario music video.
Something like that.
They kind of shoehorn it into the story. The rock aliens are looking for planets that are musical, I guess.
Yeah, it's you said Mad Max. It is post-apocalyptic Romeo and Juliet or post-apocalyptic West Side Story even.
Yeah, and the music video we see is another planet. That's kind of how they shoehorn it in before they go to Earth.
Earth. Yeah,
Yeah, but Pia Zadora's in that, and then she's in the movie proper
correct.
as a different character.
Yes.
Right, because when I first saw this with you, you made me watch this for the first time. Um,
Made you. I shared this joy with you.
oh, I like it. I love it. I love this movie. I love it. I love the soundtrack. But yeah, I was really confused because for the first like while there, I thought when we meet Pia Zadora as Dee Dee on Earth, I totally thought there was some sort of connection to her in the music video with Jermaine Jackson.
So you're only saying that because you've seen other movies that have things like logic and like narrative causality. Nothing like that here.
No, and that's how the movie begins.
Yes. even though we've already said, right? Like, why is this music video that has nothing to do with characters in the film played by the same actor? Why is it here? Your answer, as you described, was because, poor test screenings when it was jammed at the end, like in the post credits or during the credits. It makes, as you said, it's confusing. It makes no narrative sense, even though the film attempts to kind of show, hey, they're looking for signs of life, intelligent life, and they find it on this planet. You said Italian Mad Max West Side Story. They just keep going. What shouldn't be overlooked is how effective, like how compelling that song is. It's great. It really kind of sets this tone as a musical. But like, wow, okay, the music's actually pretty good. Even if narrative and stuff, story doesn't make a whole shitload of sense.
Narrative characters.
Well, this is just it. Like that is not this film, right?
No.
And I think the music video really establishes that.
Yeah.
Just give me the music videos. Give me Jermaine Jackson, give me Pia Zadora, give me, like 80s glam, and then dirt bikes.
It was a number one hit in Europe.
I would hope so. So where after that? Um, do I want to talk about the phallic looking spaceship that might be a guitar? No, I want to talk about the aliens. If you like your comedy nice and broad, boy, have I got aliens for you. They're totally serviceable as like a vessel to get us from A to B, but it's really awkward to see them kind of doing things on screen. They're not actors, with the exception of Nolan, right? Like the band are not actors. It's very clear they're kind of like being told to kind of like goof around and act like aliens. And they're doing their best, but the film kind of stalls, when we're without music for any period of time, including with the aliens.
It's true, like, narrative and character, they're not really the focus of this movie. The music really makes this movie. It's a fun watch, even though it doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's trying to make sense. I don't even understand what the voyage of the rock aliens is. Like, they're coming to Earth to what?
I don't want to like say there's no story. We'll get to there in a second. They are doing what Star Trek does every time the Enterprise people go to a planet where we're not supposed to violate the Prime Directive. We can't interfere or interact. We're just going to observe and learn. And they want to learn, I guess, music. There is a pretense of a narrative.
Yeah, but it didn't make sense to me. It's like, let's go to Earth because music.
My note, I truly, I actually made notes when I watched this.
I believe that.
There are so many things that happen in this film. So much stuff is kind of thrown at the screen. Like it's like, oh, this plot element occurs. This character says or does this. Why? Just because. Is there any motivation? Nope. They're just doing this just because. You explained when talking about the production that this was a very intentional choice by the writer to kind of give this sense of this like chaotic mashup of these different genres together. That really does come through. The Michael Berryman escaped mental patients with chainsaws, you could say doesn't belong in this musical alien film, and it doesn't. But a lot of things don't belong in this musical alien film.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. By the time we get to Michael Berryman, we got what? Sea monsters, we got, toxic waste beaches, we got high school kids, who I think they're in high school, we got the rock aliens, we got Ruth Gordon's sheriff. I don't understand what she's doing in the movie. Like, she thinks the aliens are doing everything, but she never sees the aliens,
Well, she saw them land when she was spying on some man exercising in his bedroom in his underwear.
which is a sentence that makes sense when you talk about this movie.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Oh, yeah, they travel to Earth via telephone booth.
yes, they do.
Was this pre Bill and Ted?
It was. It was pre Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It was post Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who.
So, the plot of this film, as you explained, aliens come to Earth for reasons. They encounter apparently a teen couple, like 25-year-olds who are supposed to be 15. Frankie, the, bad boy who is very kind of a control freak and has his own band called The Pack. And he doesn't want his girlfriend, Dee Dee, to really be independent and to kind of sing with him, sing with the band. He wants to control her and keep her because he, quote unquote, loves her in his own specially kind of abusive kind of way. And so she wants this freedom, wants to sing. And so, wouldn't you know it? that night that the aliens land, there's going to be a, I love that they use the word cotillion. And every time I saw the word cotillion and I heard them say cotillion, I knew, Adrian, you were going to ask, what in the hell is a cotillion?
I thought the Cotillion was the sea monster. The fuck is a Cotillion?
See, this is why we work so well together
Because you know words? Like
because we know each other. Uh, yeah, all a cotillion is, it's a fancy word for like a formal dance. That is all a cotillion is.
really?
That's all it is. The tentacled lake monster is not given a name. Anyway, as I was saying, this dance party is going to offer an opportunity for Dee Dee kind of separate from her boyfriend and to actually get a chance to sing. And this is because the aliens also have a band, and they're basically going to have a battle of the bands at this cotillion. I'm going to keep saying it now. And at the cotillion, Dee Dee is going to get a chance to sing with the alphabet band, whatever they're called.
The Rock Aliens.
Sure. Of course, we heard about Michael Berryman with the chainsaw, and of course, we heard about tentacled lake monsters due to acid rain and pollution.
Yes.
The little whiffs of backstory we get is that like this is meant to take place in the 1980s present, but it's this like alternate world where there's like this almost post-apocalyptic pollution everywhere, and the government has abandoned them because they've created missile silos. It's pretty bleak.
Yeah, see, that's the thing too. There's lots of these like science fiction 1950s elements that are peppered into the film as a way of giving backstory of what happened to this town of Spielberg, or what could have happened to it, because the film never really dwells on it or highlights it or even focuses on it. But they're there, like the sheriff and her deputy.
Hmm.
As part of their uniform, they have like the nuclear symbol on their arm.
Yeah.
The town of Spielberg itself feels like it's trapped in the 1950s, or has been abandoned by the world since the 1950s.
Yep.
The youth of the day, like our main characters, it's the 1980s, but the girls are wearing poodle skirts and bobby socks. Frankie and the pack are full on greasers sporting leather jackets and ducktail hairstyles. The kids, they all hang out in a malt shop, which has a 1950s jukebox. Even the band, the Pack, Jimmy and the Mustangs, we said they're a rockabilly group. Their sound is very 1950s style rock and roll.
Yeah.
And during the Battle of the Bands, they are playing their version of Let's Dance Tonight, which is a rock and roll sounding version, versus the Aliens' new wave sound. And the Aliens, the rock aliens, we mentioned they're a discount Evo. They are very representative of the 80s in their look and style. And this is quote unquote alien to the town of Spielberg. Like they're literal aliens, but also culturally alien to this town that is trapped in the past, abandoned by the world of the present. Uh, this all feels definitely purposeful by the filmmakers, but it's all extremely very understated because it's just left for the viewer to find and make sense of, or not find and make sense of. Because the focus of the film from beginning to end is the music.
100%. 100%. All this shit comes together at the end because Michael Berryman faces off with the tentacled lake monster, and the alien, Absid, the leader, attempts to kind of form a relationship with Dee Dee. Kind of is what you'd expect. Dee Dee and Frankie get back together, and then, the end. And that's where they sing their song. Except now Frankie is voiced by Jermaine Jackson.
Yeah, he's previously voiced by Michael Bradley, but Michael Bradley and Jermaine Jackson do not sound the same. When Craig Schaeffer's got his song "Nature of the Beast,"
The nature of the, oh yeah,
the fuck is going on in that scene? Like,
well,
I like.
it's a music video.
Well, fuck yeah, have this movie's all music videos. Okay, so like he is such a dick to his girlfriend who does not let her sing, yet all she fucking does is sing behind his back. But that she breaks up with him, and then he tells his band, which is also a gang, the Pack, that they're done because his girlfriend broke up with him. And then he's singing a song in the woods on a rock. It's called Nature of the Beast, and there's a panther walking with him, and we're intercutting to him and then shots of the panther. and then there's panther ladies dancing with him. I have no idea what they're doing in that video.
In that moment where he has lost the only thing he loves, he's looking into his locker, this giant poster of his girlfriend Didi Piazzadora. He's lost the only thing he loves, and he realizes that this is because he's kind of self-destructive. Why is he self-destructive? Because it is the nature of the beast. And so he likens himself metaphorically in the video to this panther thing that is walking around with him as he is moping and lazing, along water-soaked rocks with his shirt off.
I get that metaphorically. My problem is with the literal aspect of this sequence. It suddenly his shirt is off and his pants are ripped as if he had just transformed into the Hulk. And there's cat women wearing leopard spots and they look like cats.
Okay, I just want to stop you here and say that sequence occurs, I don't know, like an hour into the film. The only reason I mention this is because prior to that musical video sequence, we've also had musical video sequences where the rock alien band have a musical number, which I believe begins in the 1950s diner, and somehow in the editing of it, they occur in a field in front of a drive-in where there is also a kind of panther woman with like leotards who is looking seductively at them. The only reason I mention this is because the editing of these music videos is not like the events of the song occur where it starts. This,
Are you talking about Justine?
yes.
That's the Pack song, the Jimmy and the Mustangs.
Then what's the other one that I'm thinking of? I don't know. Anyway, but point being, the editing of the song, like the editing of the music videos, it really feels like it's not none of the almost none, maybe with the exception of Let's Dance Tonight, almost none of the songs in this film feel like the music moves the narrative forward. They really feel like you could take them out and you could stick them on, like 1980s MTV. And that's kind of how they're edited and that's how they're framed. So when you kind of are asking all these questions about the literal panther walking with Craig Sheffer, um, I'm just saying, yeah, it makes no like it makes no sense to the narrative of Voyage of the Rock Aliens, but it makes like some kind of like weird music video sense. Like that song begins where he's in the school, and somehow, as you said, he's transported.
But he's in the school with the Panther.
At the end, he's with the Panther, not at the beginning. I don't think.
But is he the Panther? Like are they and is he and the Panther one?
I mean, I don't know if they know.
Okay, well, that one stands out to me because I know what you're saying. There's a bunch of music videos in this movie, and when we say music videos, literally music videos, not musical sequences. Like they are like music videos. The movie just kind of pauses, and suddenly we're in a drive-in or somewhere else. But this is Craig Schaefer, who is an actor, not a band member. We have this entire song and I don't know why that song is like that. Because all those other sequences involve Rayma, Jimmy and the Mustangs, like real bands, Pia Zadora, real singer. Then we got Craig Schaefer dubbed by Michael Bradley.
So your question is, why have the actor who is not a professional singer do a solo?
Well, this is not a music video that will be on MTV or anything like that, right?
No, no, no.
Yeah, because all these other music videos we're talking about, those are the music videos for those songs.
Yeah, yes. So I don't know. I don't know. So many things happen in this film just for no reason. Why that video with Craig Sheffer as Frankie? Just because. There is no clear reason. Like, there's no like, oh, that's a good choice. Just because. As you said earlier, why is Ruth Gordon the way Ruth Gordon is in this film? No clue. Michael Berryman, no clue. The Lake Monster, no clue. But that's just it, right? And that's why when I mentioned at the beginning or alluded to camp, that's where this film kind of shines.
Yeah.
By standard metrics, it's awful because it doesn't really have character. It makes all certain kinds of choices. But what is shocking to me, truly shocking, is how charismatic Pia Zadora is. For me, like Let's Dance Tonight, which happens about an hour into the film, that's the main event. And I know when I first saw it, that was my reaction. It's like it peaks too early, right? Like,
Well, that's why they put it in the title Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Let's dance tonight.
no, seriously. I know it was released as a single. I know it was like selling albums, which is why they would rename it. Similar to when the rain begins to fall. That's what has wowed me. And when I think about it, that like I think of her and some of those musical numbers, and like it's great. It is legitimately great. It's just it's in this shell of a film that is not great. This is a parody, a spoof of 1950s science fiction films, and it's playing itself not seriously. Silly, it's silly, but the music is legitimately surprising, and she is legitimately surprising in it. Yeah, like, so for me, I'm like, I would revisit this film a lot, and I have revisited it, and I've recommended it. That's the thing, is that, like, is yeah, like, I do honestly love what this does.
Oh, yeah. I love this movie, actually. Like, it sounds like we don't like it. No, this movie, all the music's great, and there's so much of it. Yeah, I've rewatched this movie several times. It's great, and she's quite charming in it. Like, she's actually this is probably, like, the best thing I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, I just wanna unreservedly recommend this. If you're listening to this and you've never seen this, give it a shot. It's deceptively surprising. At the same time, it can kinda scratch that itch, if you're into that, of those so bad it's good kind of things. Like those mashup spoofs, like your Xanadu's or Rocky Horrors, it's intentionally trying to create this kind of comedic effect.
It's not taking itself seriously at all.
No, no, but here, the music definitely elevates it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The music is the movie.
100%, 100%. Like, without that music, this film becomes, I think, from charming and at times amazing to painful.
It's even hard to even, like, criticize the story. The only thing that bums me out about it is the love story, because like, Frankie's such a dick to Dee Dee, and you think Dee Dee's gonna end up with Absid, the leader of the aliens, but she doesn't, and then she goes back to Frankie, and then Frankie's, like, all, like, nice after his Nature of the Beast song.
He's changed, man. He's changed. What do you want? He's gonna do a duet. I can see it now. Dee Dee and Frankie.
Yeah, I just thought she was gonna go join the rock aliens on their voyage to whatever they're doing, like, you know?
Well, even that little moment, that scene in the film is kind of funny when Absid has kind of taken Dee Dee back to the spaceship and where they've kind of like professed their "I like you" to each other. And then he tells her, "Okay, so if you want, you can come with us now and come back to our home planet." And her her first thing is, "Oh, that's great. We can get a book deal. I can make some money, like go tour." And when he tells her that on his home planet, none of them have emotions, they have this kind of surgery to remove emotion. That's when she says, okay, she's going to stay because, like she needs her emotions. And all I'm thinking is, again, like, well, how does this work if the alien doesn't have emotions and he's like head over heels for the woman?
Yeah, that's the part I didn't get, because 'cause I'm like, "This guy is just full of emotion." Like, he literally explodes at the sight of Pia Zadora and can't take his mind off her.
He does explain in that scene that he will need to go home and to his home planet and get another operation to kind of repair it.
Yeah.
But it still begs the question, like, even by the narrative rules the film sets out, it can't even hold fast to those, right?
No.
Like for me, this film is kind of a marvel in how good it can be at the same time of how like questionable it can be. And I mean, if you're into camp, oh lord, this film. Such excesses, so much like homoerotic stuff. There's that scene, right, when Absid has the female stimulator device, and he goes into the diner so he can stimulate Dee Dee, presumably to be affectionate towards him, and somehow it is malfunctioned, and instead of stimulating the female, he stimulates the males, and all the guys in the diner jump on him because they're all aroused by him. I just think it's adorable when these undercurrents be like, so like when the homoeroticism becomes explicit, because I don't even think it's done for comedy here. Like it is, yeah, but they're not laughing at it per se. There's so much stuff in this film, and that's because they throw everything at this film.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a kitchen sink in the movie too. Do you have any finale thoughts on Voyage of the Rock Aliens? See what I did there?
I did. This is a fun film. It's a fun film. When it works in some of these musical numbers, there's joy that you find in like the best of musicals. For that, I'm glad I stumbled on it. It came into my orbit.
And it begins and ends with "When the rain begins to fall." So, yeah, you come in happy, you leave happy. The tagline, I found 3. I don't know which one's the original tagline. There's 2 on the poster. The first one on the poster is "Prepare for a musical invasion."
Hmm.
The other tagline on the poster is the story of a guy, a girl, and an alien, and one night they will always remember. What are they talking about? What's the night they will always remember?
It's the Cotillion.
The other one is on Letterboxd. Look over there. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a rock alien.
If it doesn't even fit,
I don't even know what that means.
I feel that's made up.
And a rock alien doesn't look like a bird or a plane.
Well, I mean, it kind of looks like Superman, maybe, with a cape.
Yeah, he's got a cape.
So there's Superman. There you go.
Okay, I get it now. So this movie never received a wide theatrical release anywhere.
That is a shame. I mean, I can't imagine it would have made a lot of money, but it's still a shame.
It had a very, very limited release in America and Europe and debuted on TV in Canada. But most people would not have seen this movie till 1988 on VHS. It's probably one of those things that you picked up at the video store. But interesting enough, 1988, same year as the theatrical release of our next film.
Coincidence?
Yes.
So that was our thoughts on Voyage of the Rock Aliens. We'd want to know what your thoughts are, both about the film and what we've had to say. Please consider reaching out to us at one of our social media platforms at Cult Film School or via email at our email address, which is cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com.
Earth girls are easy. Earth girls are easy. Earth girls are easy. So, Dion, if you go on IMDb, it'll say a Southern California girl befriends three furry aliens after their spaceship lands in her swimming pool. That's that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. That is it. That is what this is. So yeah, I agree. A thumbs up.
That's a great plot and elevator pitch.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this musical alien movie, it all begins with pop singer Julie Brown. She releases her album Goddess in Progress in 1984, and it's kind of a parody of popular 80s music combined with like her Valley Girl personality. Quickly gets discovered on the Dr. Demento show, which was like a radio variety show where Weird Al got his start. Gets some radio play, gets the attention of Warner Brothers. Amy Pascal was at Warner Brothers at this time, calls her up and says, "These songs are very theatrical. Do you have any movie ideas?" You imagine that phone call? They go to lunch, and Julie Brown explains her idea of a movie based on her song on the album Earth Girls Are Easy, which she was inspired by from an article in the National Enquirer about a woman who claimed an alien came through the doggy door and had sex with her. And Julie Brown thought that was hilarious. And what if the alien that came through the doggy door was also hot? That'd be a good idea for a movie. So Amy Pascal loves this, takes her to Lucy Fisher, who's in charge of production at Warner Brothers. They pitch the movie, goes into development with Julie Brown set to play the main character Valerie, and her model friend Jerry Hall set to play Valerie's coworker and bestie Candy. Most people would know Jerry Hall as Jack Nicholson's pre-Joker girlfriend in the 1989 Batman movie.
Never heard of it.
They get director Julian Temple, who prior to this had directed a lot of music videos. I kind of knew his name from the Sex Pistols movie, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle.
Yep.
Didn't direct a lot of features at this point, but a lot of music videos. This movie's going to have a lot of Julie Brown's music in it, so I guess it kind of fits. So the film goes into production in 86, but the studio then loses confidence because Julian Temple's movie Absolute Beginners comes out and flops. So the producers now insist, okay, we need a bigger name for the lead. So Julie Brown is now playing Candy and Jerry Hall is out. And if you did see Batman 1989, not necessarily a bad thing. So for the role of Valerie, they offered it to Madonna and Molly Ringwald. Both were box office draws at the time. They both turned it down. This causes Warner Brothers to drop out of the project. So Warner's out. Several other studios expressed interest in producing the film, but none want Julian Temple to be the director. Ultimately, a French bank agrees to finance it for $10 million with Julian Temple still at the helm, and the De Laurentiis group agrees to distribute it. And it's at this point the producers are toying with casting John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, but the De Laurentiis group is like absolutely not because they just put out Two of a Kind, which was the movie that reteamed Travolta and Olivia Newton-John that bombed at the box office and was panned by critics. I love it. Eventually, they cast then husband and wife Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum as Valerie and the alien leader Mac. This would be like their third movie together. They did Transylvania 65000 and The Fly, and then Earth Girls Are Easy. For the other two aliens, they get Damon Wayans and pre-fame Jim Carrey. Principal photography gets underway in 87, and Temple brings in his own ideas to the project. It was his idea to homage the Nutty Professor for some reason. Then the film goes into post production, a lot of tinkering, a lot of taking out scenes, putting in scenes, musical numbers, taking them out, putting them in. Finished print comes out to positive reviews. At this point, De Laurentiis Group it goes into bankruptcy, and Vestron picks it up for distribution, and it debuts at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, in 1988, then known as the Festival of Festivals. Why'd they change it? That's such a better title.
Because they wanted to have the name in it, right? They wanted to have Toronto in it, film in it, because Festival of Festivals doesn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so it debuts in 88 in Toronto and then gets a wide release the following year in 89 and bombs. But has but this is a cult movie, okay? Cult Film School podcast. This is definitely a cult movie because it has definitely gained a cult following in part because of all the famous people kind of in it, kind of before they were famous in some cases, and just it being just a fun, wacky movie about aliens that crash into Gina Davis's swimming pool and want to get laid. Where would you like to go with this, Dion?
Well, okay. So, in full transparency, I had never seen this film before.
That's crazy.
So, what I want to know is like, what is your relationship with this film? When did you discover it? When did you? Because you love this.
I love this movie.
I can tell you from my experience, I don't love this film. So instead, optimistically, like a good musical should, I want you to tell me what's your relationship with Earth Girls Are Easy.
My hope is after this discussion, much like Gina Davis at the top of this movie, we're going to make you a brand new girl and you will love Earth Girls Are Easy. I don't know where I was a kid when I saw this movie. And like a lot of kids my age, obsessed with Jim Carrey. So he had an appeal to me. This is like Jim Carrey before he's famous. Actually, this movie, I would argue without this movie, we don't get Jim Carrey as we know him today because this is where he meets Damon Wayans, whose older brother, Keenan Ivory Wayans, makes the sketch comedy show In Living Color 2 years later. And it is Damon Wayans who brings Jim Carrey to his brother's attention as to joining the cast of that show. And all Jim Carrey fans know, In Living Color is where he gets to showcase his unique comedy, and his characters become a big hit, like Fire Marshal Bill. And from this, he gets starring roles in the movies Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, that all coincidentally come out the same year, 1994, catapulting Jim Carrey to stardom. Superstar. Yeah, so that those movies don't happen without In Living Color. And In Living Color doesn't happen for Jim Carrey without Earth Girls Are Easy. Yeah, so yeah, this movie, why do I love this movie? Uh it's the same reason why I like Voyage of the Rock Aliens. It's just fun. It's a different musical than Voyage of the Rock Aliens in a way. Like it is, it's essentially promoting Julie Brown's music. It makes more sense if Julie Brown was playing Valerie because she's the singer in I think all of the musical numbers except for one, where Gina Davis has a musical number, but she's dubbed by Jill Jones from Purple Rain. I love how the aliens are presented in this film. that whole sequence coming into Gina Davis's house for the first time and everything's new to them and how they're like testing out sounds and television and fish and fridges and just that whole thing is just so much fun. And then how they start learning English, which is basically them just copying and speaking in TV advertisements. I think it's hilarious and kind of smart. And when Jeff Goldblum's like, Valerie, are we limp and hard to manage? Like, and even like their alien talk at the beginning, it's the English words like they say it backwards because there's like little flavors of the words when they're talking that kind of sound like English. So like it's not just gibberish. When we get to the like the Deca dance club with the dance off with Zebo and that dancer guy where he's like, why be with a hero when you can dance with a zero? How do you not have fun watching this movie? It's fun and it's funny. I still laugh at this movie. Actually, you know who's really funny in this movie? Not even the aliens, is Michael McKean as the surfer pool boy.
Hmm.
Actually, he was originally cast as Dr. Ted, and Charles Rocket was cast as Woody, and then they swapped roles.
I think for the better.
Yeah, I think so too. Charles Rocket, I think he's probably more famous as the villain in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. He's got resting asshole face kind of down to a T.
You know what's another weird Jim Carrey connection to him is he was chosen over Jim Carrey for the 1980 cast of SNL. And then and then Charles Rocket later gets fired that season for saying "fuck" on TV.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's just a fun fact. I don't know why I know that, but anyways, but, yeah, it's fun and it's funny and I love the music and it's a good time. That's essentially why I love it.
My counterpoint to your point. So I don't love this film. Granted, I don't have a history with it. I think I described this to you before we started. When I started watching this, I didn't know what to expect. All I knew is musical aliens. So I'm looking for musical and I'm looking for aliens. And boy, does it give me aliens right off the bat. The musical stuff didn't move me in the way that some of the musical numbers in Voyage of the Rock Aliens moved me. As you said, a different kind of sound. So, I mean, if the sound of Voyage of the Rock Aliens is like, kind of new wave synth pop, like Devo clone stuff, this music felt more. I want to say like mainstream, less what you'd call like new wave progressive stuff that might have been happening, say, earlier in the decade. So, like, music didn't win me over. I did think, like, my God, the color palette. On the one hand, I'm thinking like, wow, this is really pink. It's like it feels like bubblegum. It feels like Hubba Bubba. Style for days, this film. But for me, it kind of overstayed its welcome. For me, like I think I said to you before, it's like eating cotton candy. Like it's like looking like cotton candy. Like it's so goddamn pink. And just brightly colored, but like cotton candy. It's like too much of it, you get sick. Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum, Wayans, Carey, they are compelling. They capture the screen, but I was expecting more. This is like a alien musical sex comedy. And I was expecting it, especially for when it comes out, not to be more sex or whatever, but like not more crass. But I don't know. I was expecting something more. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
It felt it felt like in weird ways, I don't know, reserved, if that makes any sense.
No,
Maybe it doesn't.
it does not make sense.
Okay, maybe I don't make sense.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It is a sex comedy, but it's a PG sex comedy, an 80s PG sex comedy. This is the type of sex comedy you can sit and watch with your grandma. Who doesn't love that?
Um,
Okay, the great thing about cotton candy, Dion, is after you eat a lot of it and you throw up, you can eat more cotton candy, okay?
okay. So what you're saying to carry this metaphor, what you're saying is I stopped after I threw up. I didn't go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's hey, I haven't really revisited it after I watched it. I like things about it. I just don't know. Like for me, honestly, legitimately, the reason that I'm in some kind of awe with Voyage of the Rock Aliens is because it's the music, right? The film without the music is kind of a cute, but kind of confusing, if not bland, kind of genre parody. This film, Earth Girls Are Easy, also has all that stuff, but like for me, the music doesn't save it, like doesn't elevate it in a way that I can go back to Earth Girls Are Easy just for the music. And I'm like, wow, man, that song, that moment, that music. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't wow me. It did not wow me.
Okay, so your problem with this movie is the musical part of it.
Partly, yeah. for me, it's not even that I think it's a problem. It's just that the music didn't, I don't know, inspire me. The music didn't move me. It's just like, okay, yeah, musical number, cool. As an example, I did not, let's say, after seeing this film, feel so enraptured by certain songs to go out and say, download, listen, stream, buy the soundtrack.
Oh, I did.
Which with Voyage of the Rock Aliens, I was there, right? Oh, you have purchased, you do have Earth Girls Are Easy, the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite song?
I like "'Cause I'm a Blonde" because I think that song's hilarious. There's the song when they are coming into the Decca Dance Club, "I Like 'Em Big and Stupid."
Yes.
That's a fun song, and just, like, a legit good song is the song playing during the dance off, "Baby Gonna Shake." I like it all. I even like the theme song, "Earth Girls Are Easy." I think it's catchy.
Okay. But yeah, that's a long and short of it. I'm not even like disagreeing with some of the stuff you've said. Like character comedy. So these people like overacting as the aliens. That like for what it is, I think it's totally fine. When I think musicals, for me, it's like this music adds and almost like an emotional layer that kind of permeates the entire film, and didn't really do that here.
Oh, really?
I actually it didn't. I
Oh,
went back. I was looking for I want to know what's the standout number so I could revisit it, right? Cuz like it didn't hit me the first time at the very least. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, yeah, I guess you're, like, caught up on the music. I mean, I'll go with you in terms of it's not as much a musical as, say, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, but what it's lacking there makes up in character, comedy, story, the love story. All that is way better in Earth Girls Are Easy. I want Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum to get together. I Am Mr. Right. It's great. And then like it's actually like legit funny. This movie is hilarious. The aliens are funny, like learning the valley culture. We are MTV scum. We got Woody the pool boy throwing cats in the pool. He's like, God, those little guys love to swim, don't they? Give my love to Finland. Like it's, I don't know, I think it's hilarious. When I think of fun, this is one of the first movies that come to mind.
Yeah, I don't think I would join you in that. But hey, that's cool.
Okay, well, you go join the rock aliens
No, oh
and
fuck. I mean, I will definitely join those rock aliens.
I'm gonna hang out in the valley with Goldblum, Waynes, and Carrie.
That's like that's totally fair compromise. We've had these compromises before. And again, right? Like I totally get the idea. This has an audience, right? A rabid audience. I guess I'm just saying that like I might need to revisit it honestly to kind of give it a second chance. But my initial reading is that like I don't know if it's me or if it's the film. And it could be me. I mean, I'm not even saying that. But yeah, it didn't grab me.
The amount of pop culture reference in this thing is really it's vast, and like there's a lot going on in it. There's a lot of minute details in it. It's definitely worth the rewatch if that was the first time you've seen it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, cult film school, I am totally in favor of doing homework. So if revisiting this is something that's in the cards, yeah. I mean, cuz I again, right? Like it's not even that I'm shitting on it. It's more like I was not overwhelmed by it. I was kind of underwhelmed by it. And I was hoping to be as moved by it as I was surprisingly moved by Voyage of the Rock Aliens. And I wasn't. I wasn't. If anything, it was as you said, it was kind of initially it was like it's kind of interesting to see this troupe of actors, some of them, before they break, and some of them just to see Goldblum and Davis together, which again, right? Like they're great together.
I know, I love them together.
They
Yeah.
are great together. And
Yeah.
so like that kind of stuff is like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like that in some ways that has less to do with the film and more to do with like personality and charisma and stuff, right? So like
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I love that scene where like she's like what am I gonna do with these aliens? Because she's gotta wait a day because she's gotta wait for the pool to get drained so that they can fix their spaceship. And she's like, because they're hairy, so she's like, I just need a lot of nair, right? So if I just nair them, make them look like guys, then I'll be okay. I love that sequence where she reveals them and they come out of the tanning beds, right? And oh, it's so good. I don't know. This movie's so much fucking fun. I recommend it to anyone who's never seen it or heard of it. All these people in it that are like, pre-fame. It's just I don't know. It's such a hell of a time. It's just so much fun. If I'm ever like in a bad mood, I might throw on Earth Girls Are Easy, and it always improves my mood afterward.
that is a good thing to have in one's back pocket.
Yeah. Do you have any last thoughts? Final thoughts, finale thoughts on Earth Girls Are Easy?
Are the aliens in primary colors? I've only seen it the once.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's blue, Damon Wayans is yellow, and Jim Carrey's red.
I like some of the choices they've made with set design and kind of like costuming and stuff. Again, like visually, this thing feels very, very like calculated. I think in a smart way. So it's pretty. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's just, I watched this and I'm like, God, the 80s looked fun.
Yes.
I love it. I don't know if I've made that clear. The tagline for Earth Girls Are Easy, an out of this world, down to earth comedy adventure.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is. So that's fine.
Yeah, they come down to earth. There's comedy.
And adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, oh shit!
What?
Around 2001, 2002, there was an attempt to make Earth Girls Are Easy a Broadway musical. So they had staged readings. Julie Brown reprised her role as Candy, and then a pre-Wicked Kristen Chenoweth played Valerie. The play did not feature any original songs, and performers sang renditions of like 80s pop songs. The play followed the film's story pretty closely, but they changed some of the dialogue and made some slight deviations. And it did not have the characters Zebo, like the Damon Wayans alien, and Woody, the pool boy, are not in it. Basically, the stage readings didn't really amount to anything. They couldn't find investors, and so it never ever became like a full blown production. But there was an attempt in the early 2000s.
Um, I mean, we'll always have the valley.
So that was our discussion on Earth Girls Are Easy. What's your take on our take? Let us know. You can email us at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com or reach us on the socials. Okay. Musical Aliens, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, and Earth Girls Are Easy.
So they both are musicals, and one of the things that really kind of appealed to me about both of them is that even though they are these kind of fantastical science fiction things, 80s lens, they both tap into the heart of at least the potential of the musical, and that is like they're optimistic. Yes, they're both love stories, but there is just such an optimism to both of them. That I think is infectious and that is refreshing. I mean, that honestly is more infectious and refreshing than even the best of songs that might be on any of these soundtracks. You can get pessimistic musicals, right? But like at its core, they are optimistic and hopeful, and that is what both of these films are. And for that, like I applaud them. One of the reasons that I mentioned our earlier episode on 1950s golden age science fiction is because metaphorically the figure of the alien, right? Like basically doesn't change, right? In other words, like the alien can be both a foreign other and a threat. The alien can also be used as a mirror to kind of show us something about who we are. And so simply put, Alien as kind of a mirror is kind of what you get, right? So like the alien in Voyage of the Rock Aliens shows Dee Dee what she wants, what kind of man she wants. She can see in that foreign alien figure, Absid, a version of the man she would like her boyfriend to be, and also kind of how she wants to be treated. And you kind of also get that in Earth Girls Are Easy, right? Where the Mac, the Goldblum alien Mac, presents this figure that is entirely an opposite to Dr. Ted and presents another love interest for Valerie, the Gina Davis character. And so she kind of sees in like that becomes a reflection of who she wants to be with, how she wants to be treated. It's just interesting, right? That even though both of those aliens are like fishes out of water, right? So in each of them, you have scenes where the alien comes to Earth and doesn't know Earth things. So in Voyage of the Rock Aliens, they're playing with salt shakers at a diner table, and in Earth Girls Are Easy, you have the scenes where they're like playing with fish in an aquarium or like watching TV or whatever. It's interesting though, right? That like for Earth Girls Are Easy, these aliens are basically children, right? And so Gina Davis's role, she gets this independence and empowerment from as much being a mother as she does being a lover to Mac. effectively, right? Like her Dr. Ted boyfriend is like a, like alpha male shithead. And so the replacement is this infantile alien people like the Mac who doesn't know anything. But that not knowing anything is, like he is kind of inquisitive and tolerant and empathetic and loving. Like it's not just that he's a child, but he has all these positive characteristics. But that's the alien as a metaphor, right? And so like when I'm seeing it, I'm thinking about the night again. Like I like the 1950s science fiction things. So like I'm not going to call them corny or cheesy, but I do see how these 80s films are kind of taking that metaphor and kind of, yeah, like as we've said, reshaped it, right? Even if the genre itself is totally pillared, right? Like it's totally mocked and like it's made for comedy. The figure is still the figure, and the figure still works kind of the same way, which to me is kind of cool. It's like, okay, even if we change genres so radically, the same icons of the genre can still serve similar generic purposes. That for me is why I love genre films, right? Genre films create iconography, they create generic markers, and when they're created, you can kind of play with them. And that's what we get, right? Like both of these films, I would agree. Fun, fun, fun. Yeah. Who would have thought it? Musical aliens.
I like them. Like, uh, what did we say? You're the brain, I'm the heart.
In our next episode of Cult Film School, we begin to get ready for the holidays. And we're going to do that the only way we know how. Get ready for the blackest of Christmases, where we're going to be looking at Black Christmas from 2006 and Adrian's favorite, Black Christmas from 2019, next time at Cult Film School.
Ho, 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 shit. Thanks for listening to this episode of Cult Film School. Leave a rating and review for the show and subscribe to the podcast to be the first to know when the next episode drops.
Follow us on Letterboxd and our social media, all at Cult Film School, and reach out with opinions on the films we covered in today's show and ideas for cult films we might cover in future episodes at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time. Class dismissed.